guitar time. Scratch the tenor out. Today I bought this Player Telecaster, and it needs a setup. And I'm going to do a very basic setup just with the truss rod adjustment and action height, and check it out if you'd like to learn how to do this. Also, for a size comparison, here's my Tenor Tele compared with my new full-size regular Tenor Telecaster. So it's just a bit smaller. So let's check it out. Here we go. Let's set it up. Okay. So first of all, let's just check out the basic. Let's just check out what kind of condition it's in from the start. So right off the bat, these knobs, listen. Now, I don't know if you can hear that, but they're scraping on the plate. So I want to raise those up. Now, let's check the action. Let's check the truss rod adjustment. So if you haven't done this before, to adjust the truss rod, we want to put a capo on the first fret. Okay, so we have our capo on the first fret, and you want to press your low E string on the last fret, and then we're going to measure at the 8th fret. Now the Fender specs for an electric guitar with this is 9.5 radius. So the relief at the 8th fret should be 0.010. Now I've got this little handy dandy gauge here, and it's a little hard to see, but the very last mark is what I want. And if you can see, that's a tiny little black smudge. So we want that to be really close to our 8th fret. So now let's check it out. So hopefully you can see this. Okay, 8th fret. Now, when I fret at my highest fret, and it looks like it's actually 0.030. This third mark is how high the string is off the fretboard at the 8th fret. So it needs to come down quite a bit. So that means I need to tighten my truss rod. Now I'm going to tighten the truss rod by turning it to the right so the neck goes back more, pulling the strings a little closer to the neck. All right, so let's try that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and loosen my strings a bit since I'm tightening it. You always want to have your guitar tuned to pitch when you check your measurements. All right, and nowadays Fender has the truss rod adjustment easy to get to, and I like to pull these strings out of the way a little bit. Okay. Now when you do these adjustments, normally I do 1/4 of a turn or 1/8 of a turn, but this is a pretty big adjustment, so I'm still going to go slow. I did have a truss rod break once on an acoustic guitar, so this step always makes me nervous. So I'm going to turn it maybe up to 1/4 of a turn and then check it again. And just by experience, through experience, I know it's going to need a little more than that. So I'm going to do a little more. Okay. So that's kind of 2/8 of a turn, maybe it's 1/4 of a turn total. Okay, now I'm going to tune it back up to pitch and check it again. Okay, let's tune back up to pitch. Let's put the capo back on the first fret. Grab our gauge. Remember, we want it to be 0.010 fret on your highest fret. Go to the 8th fret to check your height. And for me, it's such a small distance that I kind of like to lift my fretting finger up and down just to see where the string hits that line. And actually that looks pretty good. It looks like it's exactly on 0.010 inches. That's an inch. Okay, great. So that worked on the first try. That was amazing. Okay, so the next thing to check is our action. Now this is more for fixing your height on the high end of your neck. My guitar tech guy told me that if you're having problems on the lower 7th frets, you want a truss rod adjustment. If you're having problems on the higher end, you want to do a bridge adjustment. So the Fender specs say, and I'll put a link for this, the page that has the Fender specs on it. They say on the bass side at the 17th fret it should be 4/64. Okay, so on my little gauge, that's this. Probably can't see it. See if I can get super macro. Yeah, it doesn't quite focus. So I want it to be 4/64 at the 17th fret. Okay, and let's check it out. I'm not fretting. There's no capo. I'm not holding any, fretting any strings right now. So that, not sure if you can see that on your screen, but it's pretty close. It looks like it could come down 1/64. It looks like it's 5/64. The high side is also supposed to be 4/64. And when I check that, that one also is about at 5. So that means I want to lower my saddles down a little bit. Now, not much. Okay, and I also want to be aware that there's a natural arc that is supposed to match as closely as possible to the fretboard 9.5 radius. So I'm going to lower these down a bit and even this A string one out that's crooked, and try to maintain the arch. I'm going to start by getting the outside edges to 4/64. So they just have to go down a smidge. So for that, now I have this multi-tool thing I bought, which is super handy. And I think it might be this little tiny Allen wrench. Let's see. Yeah, is this my smallest? I think this is my smallest one here. So let's see. Does that fit in there? Yes. Okay, now to lower these, I'm going to turn it to the left. And I want to do both sides of the little flat saddle here. I'm going a quarter of a turn or less. Okay, let me just check that one. 17th fret again. We want it to be 4/64. I'm going to bring it down just a little more. All right, I'm going to call that 4/64, and Let's bring down the high side a little bit as well. So you can check each string, and in that way you can maintain your radius. Just make sure they're equal on all strings going across. Okay, now I'm going to take off the stickers. Oh yeah, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna fix this scratchy knob that's set too low, so it's scraping on the metal plate. So what I'm going to do first, take my handy multi-tool, and there's a little flat head screw on here. Just takes a couple of turns to loosen it. Okay. So one trick that seems to work pretty well is to take a couple of dimes, put those under both sides of the knob so that when you screw it back on, it's parallel. The bottom of the knob is parallel to the top of the guitar. Okay, there it's touching the dime on both sides. And now I'll tighten up my screw. There, it's not scraping anymore. So let me do that on the other one. All right, I'm going to go off camera and remove the stickers, and then I'll show you how I adjust the pickup height. So now let's, and it's looking pretty darn pretty with the stickers off. I dusted it and polished it, got all the old store dust off of it. At some point, I may try to install a three barrel saddles here. And if I do that, I'll show you the process. But let's look at the pickup height now. So on our pickups, we have these screws on the sides that bring them up or down. This one's got 3. When you turn it to the right, the pickup raises. So let's see where we're at right now. The pickup height on a Mexican or American standard, this is Mexican, 5/64 on the bass side and 4/64 on the treble side. So let's check out and see where we're at. You probably can't quite see that, but it's at 8/64 on the bass side and on the treble side. And this bridge pickup, the treble side's at about 6/64 and the bass side's at 10/64. Now, they don't differentiate between the bridge and the neck pickup on the web page. Generally speaking, if you want these even in volume, you want this pickup a little bit lower than the bridge pickup. The strings are moving a lot, covering a lot more territory and vibrating more, so it's louder here. So I'm going to start, excuse me, I'm going to start by setting the bridge pickup, and then I'll probably make the neck pickup slightly lower. Now when I'm measuring this, I'm measuring from the very top of the magnetic pole to the bottom of the string. There we go, 5/64. Okay, so the bridge is set. I kind of like to wear a strap and sight underneath the string so I can tell how much I'm raising that pickup. There's probably a more proper way to do it. For me, it's more comfortable this way. All right, so the treble side is 5/64 and the bass side is 6/64. So just a little bit lower than factory specs. Okay, the last thing to check is our intonation. Okay, the intonation. Now that is if you don't know already, is moving these saddle points where the bridge, where it really crosses the bridge, this point, forward or back, so that when we fret the 12th string and play a note and do the harmonic, they should match. So let's test that next. So it looks like the neck pickup is quieter than the bridge. All right, so later I'm going to raise this neck pickup to the factory specs and see if it matches the bridge pickup. For now, let's work on the intonation. So the neck pickup, you're getting more more vibration here, and I think you get a better reading when you do this procedure. So you should use a really good tuner. I have a pretty okay one. They say a strobe tuner is best. Even a basic tuner like this seems to get close enough for my ears. So let's first check to make sure we're just in tune, open strung. All right, so the procedure is we're going to play the harmonic of the 12th fret and make sure it's in tune on our tuner. Then I'm going to pluck the note, fretting the string as lightly as possible to get a note. If you press too hard, it's going to make your note go sharp probably anyway, because you're playing it beyond the depth of the fret. So very light. Okay, so that does look sharp. So now here's the rule. Here's the procedure. If the fretted note is sharp, like in this example, this saddle has to be moved back until they match exactly. So that's when you want to have your screwdriver handy. Okay, so which way we'll move this back? Let's check. I think also if you loosen the tension, it's easier too. So I'm going to loosen the tension a little bit. And I'm turning to the right now. Yeah, it's going back. So I just went turned a very small amount. Now, as usual, you want to tune up exactly between every adjustment on all the strings, because you want it has to read it for the tension that the guitar is going to play at. If you change gauges on your strings in a significant way, you might have to do this all over again. Okay, let's fret the harmonic. Okay, pluck it. Okay, that's better. Let's check the A. All right, it's a little sharp too. So let me turn this to the right just a bit. I'm going to just go crazy and not even loosen up the strings. And of course, if your fretted note is flat, then you're going to move the saddle toward the headstock. You also want to use your ears while you're doing this. The tuners, they wiggle, so it's hard to tell exactly what's going on. So your ears are usually a better judge ultimately. I'm going to go ahead and check the rest of the strings, and then we'll hear what it sounds like when I'm done. I'm also, while I do that, I'll come back. I'll have the bridge pickup adjusted to match the neck pickup to match the bridge, and we'll check that volume as well. Okay, so I just checked the intonation. I did need to move the bottom 3 saddles, maybe the bottom 4 saddles back a little bit because they were all sharp when I fretted them at the 12th fret. Now, the reason that's important is when you're playing higher up the neck, it'll be in tune if that is all intonated. It makes your whole neck play in tune better. Let's see, what else did I do? Oh yeah, the pickups are now equal. Bridge and neck pickups are equal now. And let's hear how it sounds. But before we do that, thanks for joining me on Tenor Guitar Time, and apologies if I bummed you out with a regular guitar, but I do the same procedure on my Tenor electric tenors as well. Same thing. I use the standard Fender specs as a starting point, even though the instrument's smaller and the tensions are different, and then I adjust from there. And also, subscribe below, hit the like button, I'll do all that YouTube stuff that helps the channel grow. So there may be better ways to do everything that I've shown you. Anyway, let's check out the sound of this beautiful Fender Telecaster Player. This is not the Player Plus, just the Player regular. I guess the pickups are a little hot, supposedly. Let's check the volume of these pickups here. Maxed. So it seems like the bridge is slightly hotter, but I like that. So if you need a punch up in volume, just flip that switch down and you're ready to go. All right, thanks for joining me on Tenor Guitar Time, and let's keep practicing. The other good thing I noticed, I was worried my room is very noisy if the pickups aren't high quality. This is your standard Player Tele, and it's quiet. No buzz, no hum, no weird sounds.